Hello. I thought I'd do a little flick through my old postcard collection today. I collected these postcards when I was a child back in Germany, when I was living in Germany. I was living in Germany back in the 1970s. So I've got an old German postcard album, and they're stuffed with these cards that I bought over time. They bring back quite a lot of memories. I'm not going to go into every detail of these cards. It'll take too long here. But we lived in a town called Hanau to begin with. And I guess the only claim of fame that Hanau has is that it was the birthplace of the brother Grimm, who compiled the fairy tales, the German fairy tales back in the mid-1800s. And there were quite some nice park areas there. Hanau was near Frankfurt, so I got a postcard here of Frankfurt Airport. And after that we moved to northern Bavaria, near the East German border, to a town called Bad Kissingen. Bad is the German word for spa, so it's the spa town of Kissingen. And I got these postcards from there. And we did a lot of day trips while we lived there. The surrounding hills were called the Rhön Hills, and they were near the East German border. You can see the East German border marked out on this map here. And we did a lot of hiking up in those hills, did a lot of walking, and did barbecues up there, spent a lot of time there. That's a tower that we visited. That was near the East German border, and you could go on top. You paid, and you got on top, and you could see right around the local area, 365-degree view, and you could look right over the East German border. As I say, that wasn't very far from where we lived, and this was our particular part of the border. As I said, we went up to the hills quite a lot to walk and hike around, and we'd often stop at this particular border point here. The actual border is that pillar here. It wasn't the fence in the background. The actual East German border started here, so you can see where it's all worn out on the West German side where we could walk around. And then it's kind of overgrown after that. And then there was a pillbox on top of that hill, and the East German guards used to spy on us using binoculars. As I said, my father was in the army in Germany, and Wildflecken was one of the army bases near the East German border that we used to go to quite a lot. About 12 miles from where we lived was the city of Schweinfurt, and I suppose the only claim to fame it has with most people is that it was heavily bombed in the Second World War by the 8th Air Force. Had large ball-bearing factories there. But otherwise, I went to school there. I went to junior high school there. Bad Kissingen only had an elementary school for us kids, so that's 1st to 6th grade. And 7th to 9th grade, you went to junior high school in Schweinfurt, so it meant a 20-minute, 25-minute bus ride for us every day, each way. Got these postcards on some field trip. Really enjoyed nature, animals, fossils, geology when I was a kid. So I always picked up these cards here, and that's Frankfurt Natural History Museum. I really loved the dinosaurs there, for example. And this postcard came from a natural history museum near Coburg that we used to go and visit. I used to really love looking at the fossil displays. And I really loved animals as a kid. I mean, I still do, but I was fascinated by animals. So that's Nuremberg Zoo, the polar bears. And I bought these two on a field trip. We, as a school class, went to Nuremberg Zoo a couple of times. We also watched the dolphin displays. And then just some postcards of various places we went to. As Army families, we either flew Pan Am or World Airways from the United States to Germany and back again. So I got a couple of postcards of the planes that we took. And more places we went on day trips. Some of the areas were limestone geology, so they had extensive cave systems which was open for tourists. So really enjoyed that. There's a skeleton of a bear. And again, all the day trips here, that's Ida Osterstein. I went up to that chapel there. And these two were bought on a field trip. Again, that must have been an 8th grade field trip to Rothenburg when I was in junior high school. And that's a postcard of Heidelberg. And these ones here are Berchtesgaden. So we went to Berchtesgaden. They had a what they call Army Armed Forces Recreation Center. So a lot of soldiers and their families went there on holiday, and it was near the location of Hitler's house in the Obersalzberg. So I got that postcard there as a kid. So that really got my interest into the Third Reich going back when I was maybe 10, 11, 12. So there's a postcard of Hitler's house before it got blown up afterwards. By the time we got there in the 1970s, all that was gone. They were totally torn down. They just had the foundations sticking out of the grass. Oberammergau is where they did the Passion plays. So we did a lot of traveling around Bavaria. I've got the Zugspitze here, which is the highest mountain in Germany. As it says there, 2,966 meters above sea level. And to get up to that, we first went up in a little train, and then the rest of the way we came up by cable car. And a cool thing about it is I built this big station on top of the mountain, and the border between Germany and Austria went right through it, which I thought was quite amazing that a border could go all the way up a mountain and back down again. So that's the train that we took to get up halfway up the mountain. There was an electric train, and then the rest of the way you go up by cable car. I've got a couple of postcards here of alpine animals, alpine flowers. And this here is Whipsnade Zoo. We went to England and the United Kingdom a couple of times on vacation while we were living in Germany. On one occasion we came by hovercraft. I really enjoyed, besides nature, I also enjoyed technology. So I got these two postcards here. I was really fascinated by the Forth Road bridges that we drove across to get to where we were going. And drove up once to get up there, and then again down. And when we came back again, at the time it was a toll bridge, but that's no longer the case nowadays. Nowadays you get free travel across the bridge. And that's the famous A9. It's a lot more modern these days, or back in the 1970s it was just a, as you can see, just a small road, and it took forever to basically get from Glasgow up to where we were going. Basically took us maybe half a day. And we ended up going to a village called Birkhead, which is on the Murrayfirth coast up here in Scotland. So these are the beaches that I played on these long holidays that we had up here, on the long vacations that we took. Usually spent about 2 weeks up here. My father had some distant family in Birkhead, so we managed to stay with them a couple of times, which was good. Funny enough, I live in Scotland nowadays, and I just live 30 miles from here, which I would never have thought back then. I really enjoyed dinosaurs as a kid, so I got these two postcards of dinosaurs that came from a museum in Elgin in Scotland. And again, they were building a lot of oil rigs at the time. Back in the 1970s, oil rigs were the big thing. And that's Odyssey, I think it's called, that postcard there. And we basically went up there once to have a look at the construction of the oil rigs. It was pretty cool as a kid. They no longer build rigs up there, but funny enough, again, I don't live very far from that place here, nor do I live very far from here, Loch Ness. I was absolutely amazed and fascinated by the Loch Ness Monster as a kid. And then moving on, we're back in Germany, and this is the Black Forest, another vacation that we took there. We stayed in that building there, rented an apartment there and stayed for about half a week or so in the Black Forest one. This must have been maybe 1977, I can't really remember now. But we went to Freiburg, the big university town down there. Went to Basel. Basel is in Switzerland. It's just beautiful scenery down there. I have no idea why it's bought that postcard of the church. I must have been fascinated by the architecture, the modern church there. Went up to the Feldberg, the big hill up in the region. And we went to the island of Mainau, which is like a garden island on the Bodensee. The Bodensee is what it's Lake Constance in English, not far from Switzerland. That was a beautiful place there. I still remember that, even though we just spent a lazy afternoon there. Also went up to the North Sea. That's Cuxhaven on the North Sea coast, not far from Bremerhaven. Again, spent half a week up there, I think, once. That must have been in the springtime. I can't remember what year now, but I really enjoyed seeing that part of the world. And again, I got these dinosaur postcards. Again, as I say, I was really fascinated by dinosaurs, as most kids are, I suppose. Got these kind of 3D Disney postcards. Munich. And just a few other places. That's Bad Tolz. My father was stationed there as a young soldier, so he took the opportunity once when we were in the area to go back again to see the plays. That's in Bavaria. Honolulu Airport. Went there as a kid once. That's actually not a volcano, that's a fountain. It's lit up. Though when I was a kid, we arrived there at nighttime and I thought it was a real volcano. Much to my disappointment, it's not. It's just a lit up fountain. That's one of the buses we used. I remember my mother, my brother and I taking the bus from New York City down to my grandparents in North Carolina once. It was an adventure for us kids, but it must have been hell for my mother. That's the Pan Am building in New York City. I really enjoyed New York when I was a kid and actually stayed there in the 1980s for a short period of time. It's no longer called the Pan Am building. I can't remember what it's called now. I think MetLife or something. But that's just not far from the train station, Grand Central Station, just down there. And then back to Germany, we got Bavarian scenes here again. That's Fulda. And just a couple of scenic pictures here. I do like that one here. That's Lake Constance in the back. I really love that picture as a kid. And in the end, I got this postcard record thing here. I don't have a record player, so I can't play it anymore. But it's has a woman singing a 1950s song. And that's it, my little postcard album of memories. Anyhow, I'll leave that at that. I hope you enjoy that little flick through my album. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.